Hi, I'm Jackie Payne. I'm the director of Move to End Violence. I am going on vacation next week, so I am very excited about that. And it has me thinking a little bit about how we as a movement practice self-care. When I first set out to explore the possibility of Move to End Violence, we did tons of stakeholder interviews, hundreds of them. And one of the most striking things we heard from folks was how burnt out everyone was. Folks feeling just exhausted, beyond their breaking point, like they'd lost the ability to think creatively. And sadly, lots of folks describing not feeling as impactful as they wanted to be or knew that they could be. And so really just that the sense of real deep burnout and coming from a place of scarcity. And I distinctly remember a couple of stories I heard about vacations while I was doing those interviews. One woman talking to me about how every vacation she took inevitably went the same way. It would be like 2 or 3 in the morning the night before vacation, and she'd have like the suitcases out and half packed and the dryer going, and she'd be like trying to pound out that last report or that last proposal, and then often would end up sick on the vacation because she was so worn down trying to get ready to get out of there to go on the vacation that she spent the whole vacation recovering. Another woman telling me about how she often spent vacations with her kids asleep in the hotel room, and she would be in the bathroom, door shut, light on, she's sitting on the toilet like typing as quietly as she can for hours, trying to get enough of the work done so that she could be present for them during the day and really be on vacation with them during the day. And then I also remember one of the interviews I did was actually with a stakeholder who was on vacation. And when I found that out, I said to him, like, this is horrible, let me reschedule. And he said, no, this is the time I have, it's fine, I do this. And I have this vivid memory of him describing that they were at the shore and his kids were playing in the ocean. And he was sitting in his car in the parking lot talking to me about this and watching his kids play. And in each of these cases, it felt like the right choices. I mean, there were sacrifices, but there were sacrifices being made because folks were so passionate about this cause and so committed to the cause that they were willing to make those sacrifices. But to me, the great irony is that what we know about how we're working is that we're not actually setting the conditions for ourselves to be the most impactful, for ourselves to create the kind of change we want to create. Right? What we know is that when you pile on so much work, what ends up happening, if you go beyond having just a few things that you're trying to be exceptional at, you end up having a lot of things that you're mediocre at, right? And folks know that, but it's so hard to say no when there's so much need out there and people make these requests, and it's so hard to say, no, I'm not going to show up for you, I'm not going to do that for you because I make the choice to be here and do this exceptionally well. And so we have a really hard time saying no. What we also know is that our best thinking doesn't happen under conditions where our mind is crowded, right? You always hear about how folks come up with their big ideas when they're in the shower or when they're on a run. It's because literally the spaciousness of that, not having so much stuff going on, coming into your mind, that opens up space for possibility. And so some of the most innovative ideas happen under those kinds of conditions. And yet the way we're working is just, meeting, event, commitment, and not creating the environment where we could have huge, innovative, creative ideas. When we think about being strategic, one of the most important elements of being strategic is to be able to see the whole horizon, to see all of the possibilities. First, like to imagine them, to see them, and then to be able to evaluate which are the most strategic and to move in a timely manner to go after those. But what happens when we're really overwhelmed is that our perspective starts to narrow. We can't even see all the possibilities. And even the possibilities that we can see, we're too overwhelmed to take advantage of them. It has this feeling of like, oh my God, that's not possible. I can't possibly do that. I am worn down here. I'm just surviving. I can't possibly take on this huge initiative. And what we're trying to do, ending violence against girls and women, is huge. We're not going to create a world in which all people are able to thrive and reach their full potential just by keeping it going the way we're doing it now, right? We need to be able to break out of that box and to imagine huge solutions and to have the capacity to think of new ways to accomplish them. And that means saying no, creating the space to think big, changing how we're doing our work so we can take advantage of opportunities. And I think a lot of that is around rethinking what our relationship is to self-care. For a lot of us, self-care feels self-indulgent. It feels, it's like, I think there's a lot of guilt around it. It feels selfish. And, first of all, I think you should feel totally worth taking care of yourself. And I think it should feel like a good choice to put yourself and your family very much in the mix, right? And I also think if that's challenging for you, then you can also think about it like it's not really about you. Ultimately, what we're trying to do is create huge change. And we need all of us to be our most powerful, impactful selves. And if the way you're going about the work is burning you out and it's not allowing you to show up in that way, then you are not serving the survivors and the constituents and this movement in the most powerful way you could. So if it helps, you can think about it that way. And I'll say this sounds a little preachy to me, so let me offer this. I don't mean to be lecturing. I'm certainly not great at it. This is something that I both know to be true and I'm absolutely in deep practice around. I continue to set myself up to have meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. It's often 2 o'clock, I haven't eaten, and I haven't gone to the bathroom, right? And it's very clear to me that if I am not taking care of myself in those foundational ways, I'm absolutely not showing up for my teammates and the people with whom I'm having these meetings in the most powerful way I can be, right? If I'm not going to the bathroom, I am not creating the space for that. I'm absolutely not creating the space for myself to be the most innovative and strategic and thoughtful as a partner in those meetings. And so I have work to do myself around creating changes to my own practice that puts my money where my mouth is, that says, if this is what it's going to take to create big change, how can I change my behavior on a daily basis so that I can be my most powerful? So I really want to invite you to come with me into this community of practice.